Hi, I'm Elaine Ellingham, President and CEO of Omai Gold Mines Limited. We're listed on the Venture Exchange and on the OTCQB. We have a project in Guyana, in the north coast of South America, and I am an exploration geologist originally, so just love working on a project like this.
Elaine, hello and welcome, I should say. Well, thank you for inviting me to your hometown of Toronto.
Yes.
This is your place. You don't live too far from the area, do you?
I think you can see my condo. It's over there.
Somewhere over there. Well, it's
Yes.
very misty and foggy, actually. Well, here we are. We're at the conference. There's a few going on. There was a red cloud yesterday. Today we've got metal swarm downstairs in this hotel. We're at the Delta today. And then the rest of the week we've got PDAC on. A lot of people seem to have rocked up. People are a little bit...
Right, absolutely.
What do you think they're here for? We'll get on to what you're here for. What do you think people are expecting?
Well, I think there's a little more liveliness in the air. I think maybe the gold price, it was a good week in the markets. Maybe there's a turn coming, something with the feds in the U.S. But certainly in the air, there's more optimism. And it's been such a risk-off environment for junior equities that, fingers crossed that there's some improvement.
Absolutely. So we'll see what the Fed does, and we'll see if this year's elections in the U.S. slow things down. I hope not. I think we need to get moving. Why are you here? Because you've got a PEA coming out soon, but it's nearly out, but not quite. So do we know when it's coming out?
Probably in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
We were working very hard to get it out for PDAC, but the reality is you want to get it right, not fast. So we're happy waiting that extra bit of time.
Okay, fantastic. And what are you looking to do with that PEA? I know you can't give us the precise detail around it, but what have you tried to bring together?
Well, I think Omai in general has come together extremely fast. In the last 2.5 years, we've put out now 3 resource estimates, each one quite significantly larger than the one before. Yeah. So it is a past producing mine property. So of course, that's helped. But I would say with the PEA, it's been a tough market, and we've been trading at, $6-8 per ounce of gold in our resource. We've got road access and all the good stuff, and a government that's very enthusiastic to see this reopen. So, part of doing the PEA is actually, when you have an old mine property, sometimes people think, they mined everything out. So I think it's basically to set a base valuation so that the market can understand how we're going to move forward on this.
Right.
From my perspective, it's great, and we need to do this, and it's really interesting. But at the same time, we know a lot about that deposit, so we know we can expand that quite significantly. So we're really focusing just on the Wenot open pit, because it just makes sense. And we have 2.4 million ounces, so this is not a small deposit.
And explain that to me, because it's obviously near surface, isn't it? And yes, it's bigger, slightly lower grade, but the economics are, I guess you could try and prove that they are good enough to actually get this thing moving forward.
Well, yeah, the average grade of Wenot is about 1.5. The new resource we did, the indicated was 1.48 grams per ton. The inferred is actually 1.99.
Right.
Okay, grams per ton. And as you can imagine, the inferred is probably a little bit deeper, which it is because your drill density is a little bit lower, so it's inferred. But that's actually a great grade for an open pit mine. Yeah. So, there's so many deposits that are sub 1 gram now.
Oh, no, here, I was really in reference to your other asset, which is obviously slightly higher than that. So that's what I was trying to infer.
So we have 2 deposits on the project. There's the Wenot, which is shear hosted, 2.5 kilometers long. But just 400 meters away, there's an intrusive hosted deposit. And the upper part of that produced 2.4 million ounces. So we actually have a resource below that, and that's about 1.8 million ounces. Average grade 3.2, but very, very wide. It's going to be large stope mining or possibly bulk mining. Okay. And it's only 300 meters down. But the issue is we know that when somebody, when this mine moves forward to a mining scenario, you're going to do the open pit first. Yeah. So you basically get your cash flow. You have lower capex initially because you're just doing the open pit. And then maybe 3 to 4 years down the road, after you're cash flow positive, everything's humming along, then you would develop the underground. It just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I guess, is what we're going to see from the PA is you say, well, here's how this thing potentially could get built out, get the cash flowing. That's number one. Especially in this market, right? This isn't about saying, well, how big can we make this thing? It's like, these days, people like investors saying, show me the money, right?
Yep, absolutely.
They're at that point. Good. Right. I won't push you further on PA because you can't tell us very much. There's no point. You just
haven't seen it all yet.
Okay, as well. Oh, right, okay. Right, but you've got to get a sense of what it looks like,
yeah,
obviously.
And we are focusing on the open pit.
Yeah, okay.
Just makes sense.
That's all we need to know. Right, let's get on to the other things surrounding this, right? So, you're a geologist. You've built a kind of quite an interesting team around you too. But more importantly, when you say the government is supportive of this, you're doing a talk for them tomorrow, aren't you? Well,
yeah, there's a Guyana Day.
Right.
They've done that a few years.
They've asked you to come and talk.
Oh, each company actually in country comes and gives a presentation.
Right.
But actually, more importantly, I actually met with the president of Guyana about 2.5 weeks ago.
Right.
He's got a lot on his plate, but and you can imagine their offshore oil business in Guyana is just attracting so much foreign interest and foreign investment.
Yeah.
But they really value mining. They remember when Omai was in production, and it was the heyday of economic prosperity for Guyana. So Omai in particular has kind of a special place in the hearts and souls.
Yeah.
The president was extremely busy, but he still took the time to meet. Likes to keep up to date on what's happening. And,
right.
And the same thing with the Geology Commission, the Geology and Mines Commission. The Minister of Natural Resources and everybody. They always want to know how Omai is doing and how soon can it be in production. So we need to forge forward because there's very few jurisdictions in the world where you've got the government that's kind of rooting for you and wanting to see you advance.
Right, and let's stick on that point because it's an important one. They want to know when this thing gets into production. Your shareholders want to know. Investors want to know when.
Right.
But there's a process to be gone through. You're not building this off the back of the PEA, one suspects.
No. Because when Omai was in production, it produced over 300,000 ounces a year. Huge mine. Again, with our even the open pit as it stands today at 2.4 million ounces, this will be a large producer.
Yeah.
Out of the gate, we're talking 150, 200,000 ounces. So you don't build that type of an operation off a PEA.
It's never wise.
No.
Very few instances where that's a wise decision, for sure. Okay. And talk to me about the team that you're going to have to bring on board, because you're going to have to keep building that out as the project evolves and, as you say, moves towards a point where you can make an investment decision. So tell us what it looks like now and what it's going to need to bring.
Yeah. What we've been focused on is, we started 2.5 years ago without any resources at all. So obviously the team is very exploration focused. Now we're more into sort of resource drilling, but certainly, I've been involved with a lot of mining companies and sit on the board of a fairly large mining company, been involved before. Operations and that type of thing, like mine managers, once it's in operation, that's a certain team. But people who build mines, that's a very special area. It's actually, you need a team that's been there, done that, and it's just like, you don't want to hire someone to renovate your house who's never done it before. It's the same with mines. So yeah, and actually what's interesting is there's quite a few people that I've met down in Guyana and here as well, that worked at Omai historically. They know a lot about it because they were there when it's in operation. So it's people like that we would have to pull into the team. And a couple of them I talk to on a fairly regular basis because we need to posture to, exactly what does that team look like, and you want the best team possible.
Well, yeah, okay. Now, so not necessarily to that end, but this question I should have asked earlier. You did a raise just over $2 million, right? And you did that before the PEA came out. I'm sure you thought long and hard about the timing of a raise. One, because of the market, you got to get it when it's there. But secondly, is there anything to infer with the fact that you're raising money before PA comes out? Why didn't you wait?
Well, no, we hadn't done a financing since December 2022. So we didn't do a financing last year. Everything we did last year, we did on about $3 million, and we added 600,000 ounces. So I think we're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But we do focus at putting the money in the ground. We looked at doing a financing late last year, but the markets were still dismal. The dilution to shareholders, and I'm one of them, would have been extreme. And so I felt that if we could get through to January, that would make sense. But I didn't want to, we start drilling next week.
Right.
So I didn't want to wait till after the PEA, then start a financing, and then get the money, and then start drilling. So the drill starts next week, and so, we're a junior. We got to keep moving forward.
You got to keep moving forward. It wasn't a whole bunch of money, and it wasn't a whole bunch of dilution, but there's a time frame that you got to work to. Okay.
Right, but compared with what we would have financed, the price we would have financed at December, the financing price we did was actually 40% of over what we were trading in December. So saved all that dilution.
Good. Okay, fine. Fair enough. So I won't read anything into that. So drilling starts in a couple of weeks. What exactly are you trying to do? Because your resource that you came out with recently, better than I thought you were going to do, actually. Really some nice numbers in there. Increased across the board in terms of indicated and inferred as well. So
and grade. That was important, yes.
Absolutely worth saying. With this new drilling, what are you going to try and do? Is it bring more inferred into indicated category, or are you looking for more finds? What's happening out there?
No, and I guess I don't want to be greedy, but the thing is, we can see from, this deposit's 2.5 kilometers long. So we still know that within that, there's actually 12 different zones. It's a very, very wide shear-hosted deposit. So we know that there's gaps that actually haven't been drilled, because you're actually drilling across a lot of zones. So we know that even it's not infill drilling, we will still expand the resources. And then at the east end, we've done very little drilling there. We do have the gold zones there, but what we did was we ran an IP, an induced polarization survey last year, which is a geophysics technique that interestingly had never been run at Omai, which is hard to believe. All my early years working in gold, I always had an IP crew with me because disseminated pyrite, very low amounts of pyrite, which we see at the Wenot deposit, always has gold with it. So we have a couple IP anomalies out there that are really compelling. So the drill gets set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking to expand.
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now what I'd really like to happen is when the PEA is out, I'd love you to come back and talk to us, maybe get into the weeds a little bit more technical, right? Because we've had a really good view of how you planned this thing and your strategy for delivering it, which is super. And obviously seeing live in person is always good. But now that the jaws are turning again, we've got a PEA, we've already got and you tell us all about the resource as well in a bit more detail. But I'd love to see what you're trying to do, and if you look back at the end of this year, what success would look like for you. So maybe we could arrange that for sure. But can you give us a little sort of insight into what you'd be hoping to try and do this year?
Yeah, so there's two tracks. Because it is a project that, we know the metallurgy, we got the road access, and we got a government very willing to help us move forward. We've applied for an environmental authorization, environmental permit. We probably will be looking at applying for a mining license. We did quite a few what I call low-cost, high-impact studies late last year, looking at baseline studies, because as you know, you need to do that for the next step. So we're kind of pushing forward on those, and we'll continue to do that. And and we've been meeting a lot with the EPA to talk to them about the various things we can do to start the permitting process. Second, I'm going to give you a little analogy, because we are in a kind of a weird market. And so, I would say this project is in some ways a little like the deposit itself is a bit early to do a PEA, because to me it's only about half drilled. But it's like you have a bunch of kids and, you got a beautiful pan of brownies that you put in the oven. And the kids they're kind of running around saying, are they done yet? Are they done yet? Are they done yet? And so I think in this market, you have to deliver very definitive milestones, which we have been doing. And so I think, again, we need to deliver that milestone. But, to me, I'm going to be pulling that pan of brownies out of the oven, and the center's not cooked yet. There's a lot more to it, but because the kids want the brownies so badly, you just cut around the outside and they get that. So I think that the pan of brownies is a lot bigger.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, Elaine, thanks very much for coming and seeing us.
Thank you.
Enjoy the next few days.
Okay.
It's hell out there. There's so many meetings, but hopefully a successful time for you.
For sure. I hope you're wearing comfy shoes.
I'm not, but maybe I should be.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Matt.